Welcome to the Next Level Life podcast with Christine Corcoran. This podcast is made for the powerhouse businesswomen who are ready to ignite their fullest potential. This is where we will dive deep into the mindset breakthroughs and sprinkle in some kick up the butt motivation so you can scale your business with confidence and clarity. Whether you're craving more income, impact, or inspiration, this podcast will be your ultimate resource for all things next level. Listen in as we have authentic conversations with game-changing female entrepreneurs as we reveal the secrets on what it takes to rise and thrive. So go ahead, ignite your inner fire, and let's get you taking massive aligned action. Are you ready to elevate? Let's go. Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for hitting download and for joining me today. So firstly, I would just love to check in with you, see how you're going, what's been happening, how is it already August, what the actual, I can't believe that we're in the middle of August. So October is going to fly around. So if a retreat has been on your bucket list and you would love to be surrounded by other incredible like-minded women leveling up their business, creating new direction, new clarity, new confidence, then the Thrive Retreat is definitely for you. I've only got a few spots left. So if you are keen to join us, it's time to book your spot so you don't miss out. There are, I think it's one private room left and then a couple of shared rooms available. So if you haven't checked out what the Thrive Retreat is all about, it's a 3-day retreat, a 50-50 blend of relaxation and business. And this is very personalized to you as well. So a month before the retreat, I send you out an email with a survey to fill in so I can get to know your business, and we really focus on what's really important to you. And we also do hot seats for everyone as well. So making sure that you book your spot is paramount. It is such an incredible retreat, and you can see from all the testimonials of the beautiful ladies that I've had be a part of the last couple of ones that I've run. This time in a beautiful location down in Pottsville, which is just south of the border into New South Wales. And it is a beautiful spot not far from the beach with an incredible pool, amazing house, and a recovery center as well. So there is going to be some beautiful relaxation opportunities, some yoga. We're going to be still having the mindful clay activity, which everyone always loves, and some business sessions as well. So if you would love to have 3 uninterrupted days of working on your business, working on the growth and expansion of your business, as well as a beautiful opportunity to have some in-depth, expansive conversations with other incredible women in business, then come and join us. Time to book your spot. The link is in the show notes. All right, today I want to talk to you about my launch debrief. So I've spent some time really reflecting on the launch of Unstoppable Sales. So really this was launching a brand new offer. The way that I look at this is it definitely was a brand new offer. It is an evolution on from the Elevate Mastermind, yes. So it is a program that I've run before many times, but it was definitely a new offer to market. So I wanted to explore this episode with what were some of the considerations that I made when recognizing that it was a new offer, to what did I notice within the space, within the market of what's happening at the moment with the climate, as well as some of the things that I put in place that worked really well. And also the one thing that if I didn't do it would have tanked my launch if I didn't do this one thing. So let's dive into it. So launching this brand new offer, Unstoppable Sales, I actually did a longer launch time than I have done previously. And the reason for this is because of the research that I've been doing over the last few months. So leading up to launching Unstoppable Sales, I made sure that I did some market research interviews, some polls, some questionnaires, some surveys across the market to really determine what's been happening, but also really listen to what was happening as well for people coming through into my programs anyway. So with the conversations I was having within the Women in Elevate, in Next Level Mastermind, through my events that I've been running, I've been really just paying attention to some of the things that people have been saying, from lead times taking longer, conversations needing multiple touch points with regards to conversions, people not spending as much, people hesitating when it comes to spending high amounts within bigger programs or bigger investments within their business. All these types of things came to mind when it came to launching Unstoppable Sales. And mainly because I really wanted to get a feel for what's happening in the market, but also so I could improve the program, but also to teach people the sales elements when it comes to these types of challenging times within the market. And look, we don't know how long it's going to last. I feel like it's also in the lead up to any type of major election. The US election does affect us. I don't care what people say, it does affect us. Because the US is such a huge global influencer, we've got to be conscious of when they are in states of uncertainty, it affects our levels of certainty within our market as well. So we've got to be conscious of that. And we've just come off the back of real uncertain times because of the 2 candidates that they had. And now obviously Kamala Harris is now in the running. So that's bringing a little bit more certainty, I think, because people aren't as worried about whether it's going to go to Trump or Biden. Looks like 2 really, incompetent people, in my opinion. So really interesting space that's obviously affecting Australia as well. Obviously, the cost of living, the compound effect of COVID, like all of these things just building up for people. And obviously, like here in Queensland, the Queensland government seems to be doing quite a lot to support the cost of living with electricity rebates. They're introducing new petrol rebates and caps. Like there's lots of things. And then we also introduced 50 cent fares for the trains and public transport, which is pretty amazing. So we're hoping that obviously we're going to see the impact of that and the positive impact of that come through over the next few months. But when it comes to small business, people have definitely been feeling the pinch. And so I feel like that has definitely played into my launch, and not from a place of people not buying. Like I've definitely had a great turnout for this round and incredible caliber of clients that I've had sign on, which is awesome. And they're already diving so deep into this. It's so incredible to watch. They've only been in the program 2 weeks and they've already been like smashing out the content and working on it, like really doing the work, which is just phenomenal to see. So they're really invested, really committed. So I think this long launch, the reason why I did longer was because of the conversations that I was having with people and this conversation around lead times being longer and people needing more time to make decisions. And so I recognize this as well when I launched at the beginning of the year. So I actually launched, I think it was March for an April start for both my masterminds. And I felt for me that was actually a late launch for the year. So I've learnt that lesson. I'm not going to do that again next year. Next year I'll launch earlier in the year. And the reason for that is because people had actually already made the decisions of where they were making their investments. So one of the things, the reasons why I went into Unstoppable Sales, knowing that it was a brand new program or new name to the market, is that people needed to build trust and credibility. They needed to trust that this was the right fit program for them. And so I spoke about it in the lead up to it for a good 6 weeks. I also did an initial masterclass where I started speaking about it back in June. And then I actually ran a in-person event in July and then an online 3-day challenge as well in July. So I feel like I added 2 extra touch points that I would normally add to a launch. And obviously there was a lot of the behind the scenes work as well. So the other key things that I did was did a really tangible lead magnet and pumped that. Like that actually worked really, really well. So having a positive lead magnet out there doing really well, building my email list months before I went into launch. So that was my DM sales scripts. So if you haven't got your hands on that yet, definitely get it. It's in the link is in the show notes. It's so good and I've had such positive feedback about it. So I had a lead magnet out there for quite a long time to build my email list, and then obviously then launched 3 different opportunities for people to learn more from me. So the online masterclass in June, then the in-person day event in Brisbane, and then the 3-day sales challenge revenue revival, which was in July. So having those extra touch points not only like built my list, but also built awareness. So a lot of cold people came. So I recognized as well, this was very much a cold launch. So I was very much building out my audience and getting in front of new people that don't know anything about me. So that was really, I feel like was really positive because I was able to really build my email list. I smashed out quite a few. I think I grew my email list by like 1,000 people and definitely grew my audience as well. I think that's some of the biggest positive takeaways that I've had from this launch is the expansion that it's had for my audience. I've had so many, and I've actually haven't done the full numbers yet, so I probably should have waited to do this podcast episode, but I really wanted to get it out to you. So I'm about to do my debrief with my OBM where we'll go through all the numbers. But basically, I grew my email list by about 1,000. I grew my followers list by about 1,000. That's why I think is why public launching is definitely worthwhile because it builds such incredible visibility. And then if you have the proper sales strategies in place, that's where it starts to create conversion. So sometimes it's not always just about the conversions either. Like I know that I'm building out also my list for the next launch, right? So for the next round. So I've already had people join the waitlist for the next round. So again, if you've listened to Unstoppable Sales and you want to be a part of it, then you can also add your name to the waitlist. Again, link is in the show notes. So some of the biggest lessons around this was extending out the lead time, talking more about the offer way before it was available to buy, because I needed to create more awareness because the name was brand new. And so I talked to a lot of people who were on the wait list about the fact that it was having a name change and what was changing around what was included in the program, etc. And so I actually sent out a personalized video to everyone on the wait list, giving them a breakdown of what's going to change and what to expect and whether this is the right time for them, and explored whether it was the right fit or not, and encouraged them to have a conversation with me to see if it might be the right fit. And so I had a few people join from the wait list, which is awesome. And then I just went into making sure that I was also segmenting out my email list. So one of the biggest things that I've been really trying to hone in on improving this time around this year is making sure that I'm really strengthening my email list for people for them to stay on my email list. So I wanted to make sure that I wasn't hounding people with emails for the launch when they didn't want to see anything about it. So market research, big time, was a really important part of the process. Lengthening out the timeline of the launch and also having extra touch points to support the conversions. And then I also did a big Facebook ads campaign. So we were really working on Facebook strategy behind the scenes as well with my OBM. So we did the ad campaign for the lead magnet, which was the DM sales scripts. And then we also did ads to the masterclass. And then we also did ads to the event. And then we also did ads to the online sales challenge. And then we also did ads for cart close and cart open. So it was a lot of ads. And so I feel like that also supported the visibility piece and the brand awareness piece, because seeing those ads made the program really top of mind for people and also created beautiful visibility in the space. So a lot more people were aware of the fact that I was launching something. And also one of the other key things that I guess was really positive out of this is that I was getting tagged in so many Facebook posts of people asking for a coach or asking to work on their sales. And it quickly shifted my messaging so fast in regards to people really starting to see me as someone that can support them with sales strategy. So obviously over the journey of my business, my sales messaging has changed, it has evolved, which goes through, every business owner goes through this. And I recognize, like, for me to launch a sales program, because I wanted to change the messaging from Elevate Mastermind being about hitting 10K months to being a specific sales program, because I recognize that was one of the biggest challenges most business owners have, is that they either don't feel confident with sales, they don't know what a sales process is or how to feel confident to convert clients, and they don't have a sales strategy in place. And then also my big belief around this is also having a really positive money mindset. So that's what the program is all about. And so I needed to actually shift my messaging to being seen as the go-to person for sales. And so that's also why I did a longer lead time for the launch, because I'd spent probably a good month doing a lot of content around sales, really like warming people up to the conversation around sales and activating that problem for people. So then they were like, oh, you want sales help, you need to work with Christine. And so that came across really, really quickly, which was really awesome to see. So to see like me utilizing that messaging for a good period of time, and then to see people tagging me for that exact reason, I was like, far out, this is working so fast. That was really awesome to see. And that's consistently come through now. So people are really seeing me as the go-to person for sales strategy. And sometimes it's all it takes. It's literally like 60 to 90 days to change your messaging. And this has just been consistent. So throughout that time, I was still doing authority-based content, credibility content, and relatable content, but my main focus was all how I bring it back to sales. I kept just bringing it back to high ticket sales, high ticket sales, high ticket sales. And so that was really powerful in order for me to really cement that in the industry, that if you want to work on your sales, you need to work with me. So that was really positive out of the launch as well, because I know that will absolutely benefit me in the long run as well. So with that long lead time though, there did come challenges along the way. One, my energy levels. It was really challenging to actually keep my energy levels high for that period of time to hold the launch. I was also courting new content for the program. So to do that at the same time as trying to create launch content and launch at the same time was intense. And I don't think I'll ever do that ever again. So learn from my lessons, people. Look, sometimes I work really well on a deadline, but other times I was like, actually, that did not work. So I actually put off some of the content to record after the doors had closed, because I was like, I don't want to rush this and not be happy with it. So I actually ended up recording it a couple of days after the doors closed to still get it ready. And there's probably still a couple of little modules there that I want to improve that aren't out yet for the group. So we do the drops in sequences, so they don't have access to all of the content just yet, because otherwise it'd be way overwhelming. And so basically what I have more content coming. So I've got a couple more that I just want to tweak and just improve, and maybe re-record one or two. I'm just going to see. I haven't edited the last two yet, so I just want to make sure that they're exactly what I want before I put them into the course. So I feel like there is definitely downfalls to launching over a longer period of time. But I think if I hadn't have had to record and launch at the same time, it would have been fine, because it was just having that detailed content with that consistent messaging across that period of time. The other thing I found worked really well were my reels. So I've spent a lot of time getting better at reels and also improving my sales messaging across my reels. So that worked really well. Also, like after I got back from America, having extra content to actually utilize for that too. So I feel like I've probably slacked off that for the last couple of weeks. I need to get back into those, because the reels were really improving my reach. So I feel like no matter what like your launch process is, it's one of the biggest things that made all the difference in this launch was the personal connections that I've made. So I think if I had not really prioritized those personal connections, I don't think that I would have hit the goals that I hit. And I also don't think that, I think my launch would have bombed if I hadn't prioritized that. And especially in this market, because the investment of the program is a $3,000 program, people aren't necessarily going to convert into that level of program unless I have an incredibly involved, engaged audience, which I don't necessarily have. And, if I had an extra 20,000 followers and had higher levels of engagement, I probably could, but I'm just going to be super honest with you. I don't think, and whether that's a mindset block of my own, I don't know, but it's one of those things like I recognize that I have had a conversation with every single person that's joined this program. So without those conversations, I don't think I would have gotten those conversions. And obviously had re-signs in the last round as well, which is great. And so I don't believe, I'm just looking at all my beautiful names on my list on my wall. I had absolutely conversations with every single one of them before they signed on. So I think that if you're going into a launch, I think one of the biggest things you need to focus on is making sure that you're making those personal reach outs and you're building connections with people and having conversations with people before doors even open, because if you're just doing it indoors open, then you are literally that's a sleazy salesy tactic. So, and I wish that I had actually done more, to be honest. Like I feel like because I was so overwhelmed with recording the content, running my programs at the same time as also creating launch content and doing a longer launch time frame, I didn't prioritize those personal connections enough. And so I know that they're so paramount, and I think it's something that you need to have in your money generating activities on a weekly basis anyway. So that's probably one of the other biggest things I feel like people don't prioritize enough, are those one-on-one connections. So if you are a coach and people need to trust you in order to buy, please make sure that you're prioritizing those one-on-one connections. So my other main takeaways were like when it comes to creating a new offer and getting it out there into the market, I think some of the biggest things you need to consider is making sure that you get the sales messaging right. Make sure that you do the market research beforehand to ensure that it's what people want, so that you're not just launching just to cold people. Like I think to get the confirmation from the market research that it was like, yeah, actually, I'd absolutely want that. Like, when is that program coming out? Like, to get that confirmation that people really wanted it, I was like so spurred on and inspired to actually make sure that I made those changes and brought it to life. And then also really working on my messaging, right from my credibility builders right through to my authority markers, so then people knew to trust me in this space. Because one of the things that I feel like I had left out of my bios, or when I have talked about my business journey before in the past, I haven't really talked so much about my sales experience. And it's funny because now when launching a sales program, I was like, this makes so much sense. Like, I was in sales for 6.5 years. I was training sales teams and I navigated so many different forms of sales, and being able to then navigate that across so many different types of businesses that I support has become a real strong suit. And I really hadn't highlighted that in my bio or the way that I talk about my journey before business. And I think that it's one of those things that, when you're in your business, you think you just focus on what you're achieving in your business, but that is a big credibility marker. Like, for people to understand that I was in sales for 6.5 years and I'm not just teaching them what I've learned just in my online business, and I'm actually teaching them proper sales strategy, that I've studied human behavior, I've studied neuroscience and sales psychology, so that I understand sales on a whole other level, that I'm teaching you the process. I'm teaching you how to sell effectively and authentically with integrity. Like, that I feel like was a really big strong suit. And one of my biggest values being integrity was another driver, because I reckon every single person that's joined, there's been comments that they've said in their questionnaire or in the first couple of calls that we've had where they've communicated the importance of integrity. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I can tell that messaging came across because they all joined because they wanted to learn to sell with integrity. So if I can give you any advice, is make sure that you get that messaging right from the get-go, test it, make sure that it's resonating with people, so that when you go to market, you're really confident with it. In the past, in previous launches, it's really testing and measuring, right? And a lot of it is testing and measuring no matter what, but it's, if you can test it and get that confirmation that it is resonating with people, that it's going to be much more effective going to market. Yes, we will always tweak our sales pages. So I actually got help with my sales page this time around, and my sales emails. And so there's elements there that I needed to outsource because I just didn't have the time to do that. And I think with the sales page, you're always tweaking it. And so I was still making tweaks on that sales page, I reckon, the last 2 days of the launch. And I reckon I will absolutely change it again before the next launch, because I really want to hone in on the real value of the program, but also who it's for and who it's not. So then it's really, really clear. So your sales page is really important, really important. And if you're driving all of this traffic and spending all this money on Facebook ads and driving all this traffic to those sales pages. If that's not converting, then you're just throwing money down the drain. So I feel like I spent so much time on that sales page, and I also can already still see improvements already now. Like, it's crazy how quickly things evolve. And so just to recap, so when launching or creating a brand new offer, making sure that you're doing that market research, making sure that you're testing the messaging, and making sure that you're creating something that people really want to buy is absolutely paramount. Prioritizing personal connections is really key, and then making sure that you're giving yourself the space to actually create the program and then obviously launch it, because launching and creating content to launch, like I think there was a part of my launch where I had mapped out the first 3 weeks of the content, and then in my head I thought I had week 4, and when I went back to actually grab that content, it wasn't there. I was like, oh my God. So I had to sit and actually create that week 4 content, which sometimes isn't a bad idea because you're responding to what's coming up in the market. You're listening to people's objections. You're listening to what people are talking about and how they're responding and what they're not responding to, and you're able to pivot. But I feel like I wish I had had more to utilize, because that was the other thing that went wrong. I had scheduled out a whole bunch of my content in a scheduling app, and for some reason didn't click the button to connect it to Instagram, and so none of them went out there when they were supposed to. And because I was in the mode of launching, I didn't realize that's what was happening until after. And then I'd go back and then share the post and post it, but then it put the timings off. And so obviously you can't post too close together, otherwise it just impacts the algorithm. And so I was like having to then wait another few hours before putting the next one out. And so that kind of impacted my launch as well, I think, because my content wasn't going out as effectively as I would have liked to have it had gone. And also I was relying on it to do it all manually because it bloody wasn't working. It was so annoying. And when I realized it was my fault, I was like, oh, so annoying. And because it was with every single post that I had scheduled, I didn't tick that box. It was doing it with every single one. So anyway, lessons learned. There's always lessons. Everything with a launch is always lessons. And I feel like there's so many benefits to launching, like I spoke about, the increased visibility, increased email list, your improved go-to messaging. So people now actually seeing me as a sales coach to go to, like, is really awesome. And I think as well, just the confirmation that people want what you have to sell is such a beautiful confirmation to see people invest this level of program, and to see them all join and be so excited and so pumped and be taking massive action already is just absolute like music to my ears. And I just love seeing them all engage in the Slack channel already, and they're already supporting each other and cheering each other on. And yeah, it's just awesome. I love running groups. They're so fun. So I feel like that's everything. I may have other things to share with you once I do the proper debrief with my OBM and we go through the numbers, but everything else I'm pretty happy with. It's a beautiful group. So excited to support them over the next few months. And the waitlist is now open for the next round. So if you would love to be part of the next round, make sure that you add your name to the waitlist. Otherwise, come and join us for the retreat. The retreat's happening in October 25th to 27th down in Pottsville, so just south of the border, and it'll be nice and warm by then, hopefully. So excited for that. Otherwise, I hope you have an incredible rest of your week, and I'll see you all very soon. Thank you for listening, and if you found any value out of this episode, make sure you hit the follow button so you get access to the episodes as soon as they are live, and make sure you come hang out with me on Instagram. You can find me at ChristineCorcoran_coach. Have an incredible week.